In this edition of the Mike On Podcast,
Nigerians are not having it either with the fuel and the naira swap crisis, which have led to harsh economic situations. A section of the citizens believe that the new cash policy will curb vote buying. Others believe it cannot stop it. As others think this policy is only affecting the poor masses and not the elite and political class, it becomes imperative to critically analyze the aspects of the current situation. The questions before us today, as Seun Okimbaloye host panelists, are they plots to disrupt the elections? Whose chances is the crisis likely to affect? Is anyone trying to sabotage the elections? Are they plans to scuttle the elections? We get perspectives on the issues right now.
As you may have noticed, the format of this podcast is different from our every weekday and Sunday engagements on Channels Television. And this is the show that is designated or designed to allow more young Nigerians bear their minds freely. It's been a crazy past few weeks for many Nigerians who live right here in the country. Queues everywhere you turn, banks, ATM spots, few stations and POS operators are now kings and queens of the streets. You know, they're making a lot of money in that. Now, everybody easily will approach them for help. The president said, please give me some days to sort things out. The CBN governor said, we are aware of your pains and we are working on relief measures. But he says there is not going to be any extension as far as the CBN governor is concerned. But from Ibadan to Warri, there are viral videos of protest and destruction on the street. People are protesting, people gone to the banking halls, and in fact, some even going on clad to show how angry they are with the situation because they cannot have access to money. If you see the chaotic scenes that are all around the facilities of banking, inside and outside, have been vandalized because of the anger. So how long till it all turns into a full-blown crisis? It is just 20 days to the presidential and National Assembly elections, and top political actors and are also divided on what this means at this crucial time in our history as a people, amidst these political rhetorics that we are hearing. So tonight, I'm asking the question, are there plots to disrupt the long-awaited poll, which is 20 days away? What are the chances, or whose chances is the crisis likely to affect? Is anyone planning to sabotage the election? Are there plans to scuttle these elections? There are many questions to be answered, and tonight you will be part of the conversation. Isn't that the reason why we're here anyways, just for Nigerians to have a benefit of the doubt and be able to be part of the conversation on major issues that affects their country? And one thing that is very critical for me, and the reason why we thought about this podcast, is that beyond my regular work on the weekdays and Sundays on Channels Television, Politics Today and Sunday Politics, there seems to be a very big gap of young people not wanting to be part of the real issues that affect their lives. Policy, governance, politics. These are things that young people shy away from talking about. And that's the reason why I thought that it would be good for this podcast to happen on the weekend. So let me start by introducing my guests, because I'm not the one doing the talking on the podcast. It's basically my guests who are always having the leverage to bear their minds. And of course, we get to bring you in on Twitter Spaces, get to know your views on Facebook, on YouTube, every of the platform, on Instagram. And in fact, we have a WhatsApp line that you can send a message to, and we'll be able to see some of the things that you have on your mind. Let's get straight to it, everyone, and let's get the speakers speaking on this matter. And let me introduce from virtual space I have one of Nigeria's, perhaps one of the youngest billionaires in Nigeria. Is the MD and is the group managing director and the CEO of Suji Motors, Mr. Sujibomi Ogundele. He joins us from Lagos. Thank you so much, Sujimoto, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Kimberly. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's the young billionaire right there. And we have one of Nigeria's very celebrated and renowned music art, and their family is well respected because they have put their names. Their name is synonymous to music. I have joining me Seun Kuti, activist and Nigerian artist. Thank you so much, Seun. It's good to see you.
Yeah, very on time. Never don't take light. Right on time. Right on time. Disco has danced.
It's gone. So don't worry. Yeah, I hope you have fuel to put on your generator, Seun. So
I put it on 800 naira per liter diesel.
Wow, what a life. So tonight we have very distinguished personalities on the podcast. I have one of Nigeria's, don't let me say too much about him. You know him very well. He just got married not too long. A young, dynamic writer and political activist, JJ Omojua. He also joins us.
So I got married last year. It's long ago. I got married last year.
You got
A couple of months ago.
You know invite me.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you so much, JJ. It's good to see you. You're looking at. You're looking at.
We've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm looking what?
Yeah, you're looking absolutely responsible, like a married man that you are right now.
Are you trying to say that I was not responsible before I got married?
They say that married people are responsible people. So, thank you so much, JJ, for joining us.
I've been responsible for about 6 or 7 months now.
So, yes, good one for you. I hope your madam is fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and I have with me very passionate and eloquent political and economic development expert, Ayo Oyalowo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, sure. Thank
you. You're the only one who has gray beard amongst all of us. Thank you so much. Where do we begin? I don't know if any one of you have a fuel or new Naira notes. I don't have. I'm not sure.
You have your this thing has stopped.
What's
right?
that? No, it doesn't stop. No, it doesn't stop.
So the Twitter one.
No, it's on.
Sure, I have new Naira notes.
You have the new notes?
Yes, so plenty.
But you can hear me, right? I guess we're still.
Yeah, no, I can hear
man
you
like
now,
Suji, me I can collect some new Naira note for your house now.
CBN will go. CBN.
I'll follow you. I'll follow you. Just let me know when.
You don't need to bring up
If I
man.
go
Just
CBN on my own, they go arrest me. No. But if I go with you, I know we are coming out with new notes.
All right. I guess we should get started. I was asking if anyone had fuel. I'm not sure I have enough to take me through the next few days. And new Naira notes. I've been doing some transfer for my basic needs recently. But Seun, let's begin with you, Seun. What do you make of the situation in the country today? And my biggest fear. Seun, can you hear me? Seun, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, great. Yeah, great. The light is back with you, right?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. One would be wondering why the fuel scarcity? It's over 8 months that we've been seeing the queues, and I'm wondering, are we going to go?
I can't hear, but now I can hear you.
Okay, great. So I'm saying that it's been over 8 months that we've been having the fuel queues. I don't know how long this will go, and if we can continue like this until election. What are your views generally on the fuel queues and the Naira notes issue?
Well, I think this Naira notes issue is the only one that is kind of new to me in my own experience in the Nigerian drama. You know, for when Naira scarce for inside Nigeria. That's the one that is new. But I think the business and political elites of Nigeria, they have always been in the business of creating scarcity for the people in the midst of plenty. So we have plenty crude oil, there's scarcity of petrol. We have plenty of schools and colleges, but there's scarcity of education. We have plenty of hospitals, a lot of doctors, but there's scarcity of healthcare. We have plenty lawyers, but there's scarcity of justice. So this is how it has. Even in Suji's field, plenty high-rise buildings, but scarcity of housing. So it is the business that Nigeria is. And a lot of people stand to gain from things being this way. And one of the things that I think that we as Nigerian professionals need to do, is to carry our weight. We need to pull our weight in the conversation of national development. We cannot say politicians all the time, when we know for a fact that we, the professionals of Nigeria, are the cogs that keep the wheel turning. Yes, that just keep the wheel. We are not cogs in the wheel, we are keep turning, and we are refusing to organize ourselves on behalf of the people. I'm not saying people should not be stupendously rich and enjoy themselves. Please. But provide the service for your nation that you are making that money for. That is my own belief. You can't be a billionaire and you are giving us telecoms that the internet is not working. The line will be dropping. You cannot be telling me you are a billionaire, you own disco and lights just like now. Billionaires running our oil and gas sector. They cannot even refine diesel in Nigeria. We are still struggling. Now they say one person has finally built a petroleum refinery, as if that is something to be happy about, something like an accomplishment, building a refinery. So I think the scarcity, our elites are in the business of creating scarcity. Just that this Naira one is new, really new. I'm here to wrap my head around it. I don't really understand it. But at the same time, I don't have money. I don't have money. So I don't have money and not being able to get money is the same thing. I'm not really bothered.
Why don't I believe you, Sean, that you don't have money? You are a big boy.
He doesn't have Naira. That's what.
Okay, you don't have Naira. You don't have Naira.
It's making dollars and euros.
Nobody believes that I don't have money. When I tell them I don't have money, they will say it's a lie. She has money. Nobody gives me money. Nobody gives me.
You shut down Lagos for your 40th birthday now, Sean. What do you mean you don't have money? You have money.
He doesn't have Naira.
I'm part of the family. My brother owns the shrine. How much did we spend? We own the shrine. We have band here. We have musician. We have band. We have instrument already. How much do we have to spend?
All right.
Don't lie. You have money.
All right. Let me hear from Sujimoto. You can't complain that you don't have fuel, but you must have seen a lot of people and the videos that have gone online. Ayo, JJ, all of you guys must have seen it. What are your own views on what is going on?
Thank you, Sean. Just like as Sean Lekwakutis just said that Nigeria is in the business of scarcity. I'm 41 years old now, and all my life, all I've seen is a consistent queues in fuel stations. And this nation is the only nation where it is as if, it's just a comparison where you say, my father owns a cassava plantation and I'm going to buy gari from my neighbor. We have to, and when you look at this twin scarcity of the Naira and the fuel, in my own opinion, it will lead into a new type of voting. You have the objective voters, and then you have the stomach infrastructure voting. Because the people, at the end of the day, the politicians would have on election day, they would definitely go out, and it will also be a test of popularity where every Nigerian would have an opportunity to, of course, if we don't experience, vote buying and electoral malpractices, then it will be I'm optimistic that it should be one of the best, most elections coming, and it's just 3 weeks away. Today is 3 weeks away, so that's my opinion on it. But you never know what these guys have under their belts, but the time will tell. We have 21 days to go, and I can't just help looking at the public and the people, the vandalism going on. The scarcity of naira has created some new millionaires, because you are calling me billionaire. Some new millionaires, POS guys are becoming millionaires because now the rate depending on your demographic, the rate they charge you in Ikoyi for POS when you're looking for cash is different when you go to my village in Oriadi local government in Erimo. So we are seeing a spring of new people cashing out. In fact, I read somewhere that there are some queue millionaires now, because when you join the queue, you can join the queue without money, and by the time it gets closer, you sell your slot and go and queue again. So we Nigerians were very, very creative, but honestly, looking at it from a more serious perspective, it has brought a lot of difficulties to the average Nigerians, and but I'm sure that this government and its CBN governor, I'm sure they have something. Maybe they mean some good, but that's not good enough. Maybe they have some good intentions, because of course in 2016 when India did it, India created something like that. It almost, though they have great intentions, but it almost collapsed the economy. Because they didn't think about the people in the deepest part of all 774 local governments. I think that it might not be a bad idea. They change the whole note thing, but then I think they should have thought about it a little bit more deeper and created some back-end infrastructures, give some timelines around it so that people can be more prepared. But as far as I'm concerned, I think they shouldn't reverse it. I think I'm not very worried. I'm not honestly very worried about the next about what will happen between now and elections, and how this and dual scarcity would affect the election. What my major worry is the Nigerian characteristics and behavior during their voting pattern and how they want to choose their leaders. I want to see what the decision-making Nigerian would do, because 3 weeks is not 30 years. So it's just 3 weeks. We are very great people, and we know how to adhere to maintain things. But after these 3 weeks, what next? Who is going to be that leader? The leader that will answer the questions of economic stability, not only fuel stability. The leader that will understand that the country depends on not only its fuel, but also other social economic factors. So that the choice of picking that leader would not only take care of the scarcity we're experiencing today, but it will take care of the future of this nation. So I think
I want to vote for you, Sugimoto, right away. Right away.
Sugimoto for president. JJ, I mean, you saw what happened in 2020 with the NSAS. And I'm not sure how young people, because our focus is about young people and how they react. And the question on this program tonight is, what effect would the fuel and the Naira note crisis have on the 2023 election? But from what you have seen, Amojua, give me your own thought also.
First of all, let me retweet what Shehu and my president, Sugimoto, already said, especially what Shehu said with respect to participation for the so-called middle class. But having said that, is to say that elections are coming, and Nigeria being a truly exceptional country, when I say exceptional, I do not mean it in a positive sense at all. In the sense that, I'll give you an example. Take the Ojuelegba Bridge accident. You can go on the internet now and actually run several searches, and you will see the exact same accident. Container dropped from that bridge, killed somebody, 2014, 2015, 2016, like almost every year. It takes an exceptional country like ours to suffer the same accident every year. You could say the same thing for that Otedola Bridge. That one is not as rampant as the Ojuelegba Bridge, but if you go on Google, you will see at least 3 separate accidents. So I see there. I can't see you on my screen.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be sure that they've not abducted you.
No.
So the point I'm trying to make is that we are an exceptional country, and if you don't look at Nigeria in that sense, you will miss it. So, for instance, you have difficulties accessing fuel. You have difficulties accessing petrol. You have difficulties accessing power. In a different country other than Nigeria, the incumbent party is already in trouble. They will be shaking. But because Nigeria is such an exceptional country, some people are able to rationalize. They are able to rationalize a separation between the president and the party in power and their candidate that is coming, and be able to tell you that, well, they are two different people because Nigeria is exceptional. So in that sense, those that are expecting, and I'm not saying this for you to decide where to vote or where not to vote for. I'm just saying it as I'm on a program. I'm going to say it as I understand it. I may be right or wrong. Those that are expecting something fundamentally different, those that are expecting some extraordinary change, some paradigm discontinuous form of voting results in the elections that are happening in about 2 or 3 weeks, that expectation is good. But somebody said something, that disappointment is a function of expectation. If you do not expect, you do not get disappointed. I think that's where I will hold it for now.
Fantastic. We'll get into some of the details because there are those who believe that all of these crises are to scuttle the election, are to kill the chances of some candidates in the election. So we'll get into that. But let me come to Ayo Yalo. What are your views? I mean, you are part of what is going on. Every Nigerian is experiencing it.
Well, thank you for having me once again. Well, my view is quite simple. I think we have got to the point where we have to determine what exactly we want to do with this fuel subsidy issue. Because what has been going on with the fuel crisis has been marketers at loggerhead with the NNPC. NNPC will say we have enough supplies. Marketer will say, no, we're not getting at a certain price, so we're not going to sell. And then you have stories of marketers lifting fuel at a certain amount and then diverting to some places where they can sell for a higher profit. And so we've had all this conversation. And like I said earlier on, we must be ready to take these very serious steps of our discussion on fuel subsidy, because that seems to be the only panacea to which we can hold on to and finally have a less chaotic fuel and petroleum supply chain. Now, when we wanted to start this, Sean was talking about 800 naira diesel. Now, this is the fear while the government has been worried about subsidy. If you take out subsidy like you take out from diesel from the PMS, which is the petrol, the fear is it might go as high as 500 to 600 naira per liter, because part of the claim, I can't prove or disprove it, part of the claim is that people get fuel in Nigeria and then because it is subsidized, they smuggle it and sell to our neighboring countries where they can sell at a higher amount. So these are challenges. So I was just reading something here on that's for the fuel issue. I was also reading something here on the cashless issue, and then maybe I'll just read it out here. The person said he lives in Norway, and Norway is a cashless society. And the person said he has spent 3 years in Norway, and he has only spent cash or used cash, as he wrote, just 3 times in the last 3 years that he's lived in Norway. So, but before we copy the word cashless, we have to look at it like this. Norway has a literacy level of 99%. Norway has a population of 5.4%. Norwegian banks have an interest rate of 2.5%. And you know what our own interest rate are in Nigeria. Norwegian banks don't charge transaction fees. They don't charge account maintenance fees. They don't charge ATM withdrawal fees. They don't charge card processing and card maintenance fees. So on and so forth. And they put it that way. He says, so when we realize that our economy is different from other and our population is different and the literacy level is different and the banking system and infrastructure are different, then we can begin to hold a meaningful discussion on cashlessness. You see, it looks novel for the CBN to want to do a cashless economy. But what is the literacy level? What is the banking penetration level? Like this writer wrote here, Norway that he's talking about as an example, has a population that is less than a local government in Surulere, Lagos. It has a population that is less than so many of, that you can say is basically all mostly a literate population. So I listened to the governor of Kaduna talking yesterday or 2 days ago on channels, and one of the things that he said that piqued my interest is he gave example of, say, like Borno and Yobe, that has just 1 or 2 banks in their capital, and they don't even have banks in other places, and they have 27 local governments in some of those states. And if you have been to any of those states, especially Borno, in terms of landmass, the landmass of Borno is bigger than the entire southeast of Nigeria. So when you say they should do cashless, there is no bank, they should take their money to the bank. Just imagine the chaos. You don't even need to be there to imagine the chaos. So when we sit down and formulate policy, I think Sujimoto was trying to talk about that we need to think deeply through that policy. Yes, it's a good policy, but you can always have a redesignation of your note without creating this chaos that has been created. I mean, you talked about what happened in India. India almost collapsed because of this. But you remember that America and Britain both changed their currency in the last few years too. But we didn't have this kind of chaos. So you can give the time limit.
Is scarcity artificial?
Well, I can't say, because CBN said that they have given monies to banks. Banks are saying they don't have enough money to go around the population. And CBN is also saying they are trying to make us cashless. And that's why I used the Norwegian example. We honestly cannot have that kind of cashless as we speak, because we do not have the banking infrastructure to support it. As I speak with you, I can show you a chart on my phone. I have paid for a service for over 48 hours now. The money has not landed in the other account, and my own account has been debited. So it's easy to sit down and say go cashless, but the truth is it working the way it should work?
Because
I was in ShopRite. I'm a banker. I was in ShopRite yesterday. I'm an economist and a banker.
Yeah.
I was in ShopRite yesterday, and I saw people buying things. ATM POS was failing. Now go to the ShopRite, the one in Jabi Mall there. The ATM in Jabi Mall, as at that yesterday, the queue in that ATM was from the inside. They have a small ATM gallery. 2 banks have about 4 ATM, about 6 or 7 or ATM there, machines. And guess what? The queue extended from inside the mall outside. I was coming this evening. I wanted to buy something somewhere. I said, okay, let me take some cash from GTB at Jabi. My brother, I didn't come down from my car. The kind of queue I saw in that bank, it will make completely no sense for me to go and join them.
Let's draw this home, and I want the other speakers to weigh in on this. And I mean, you are a supporter of Bola Tinubu, and the fact is what Governor El-Rufai said on channels, that what we are seeing, these new notes and all of that they are intentional, is what he said, that he believes that elements in the villa want the APC to lose elections. That is, do you believe that these elements are real? These are real people.
Governor El-Rufai is in the system. I'm not sure he's talking out of a vacuum. Whatever he said, I believe he's right. Because you to ask yourself, how can you want to force cashless on people and they didn't see the money? For instance, I didn't see those new notes until the 3rd week of January. I never touched a new note until the 3rd week of January. And
that's a surprise as a chieftain of the party.
And you are supposed to be withdrawing. You're not serious. And you're supposed to be withdrawing that money from the system about 1.5 weeks after that time when I saw it. So it is clear that CBN was ill prepared for withdrawal of this note. That is why they should have done what we have always done in the past. We've changed notes in Nigeria too. So you could have allowed enough time.
You know the reason why I asked you that question, Ayo, that what Governor El-Rufai said, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that some people are artificially manipulating this crisis.
Let me tell you why Governor El-Rufai could say that. Clearly, during the primaries, you saw the drama that played out. Many people did not understand why Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu used that Emilokon and that issue in Abeokuta. He was directly speaking to those people. They actually were going to manipulate him out of the system. And the reason is not far-fetched. These people have, they have their own interest to protect. They cannot win an election and they can't come out because Nigerians don't trust them. But in their mind, they actually think they are kingmakers. And you will not believe it. They have dominated a lot of things. They block people from seeing the president. They come around and tell you the president said. And people keep running around based on the president said.
So these people are very powerful.
They have made themselves very powerful. And that is the reason why they think they have the right to decide on what Nigerians will do.
Okay,
so this idea of annoying Nigerians.
So they want, this is intentional.
Yeah, it's intentional. So that people will vote against the APC and vote for Atiku Abubakar because they have a deal with him. Governor Wike also said it. So if Governor Rufai is saying it, Governor Wike is saying it, these people are not stupid.
Wait, so, this is turning political.
It's shown that it's asking me political questions. It's not my fault.
No, you know the reason why I'm asking this question.
This is not channels at 7.
No,
Suji, I think he has a reason. Let's find out. I think there's a reason.
So if you look at the question we are asking tonight, what effect?
There's nothing that is too political in this world.
Yeah,
exactly.
So try to understand me. What effect will the fuel and naira note crisis have on 2023?
Okay.
So if people are suffering, Ayo, get me right. If people are suffering, people cannot get naira note, and that it is actually caused by people. It is artificial. I can't believe that people will intentionally do that kind of thing, and that is what is surprising me.
Okay, let me tell you why we believe that is what is happening.
Yeah.
The reason is not far-fetched. They have done all the analysis and all the polls, and they think Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will win. So what they needed to now do is to get people suffering. You see, Suji mentioned it without knowing that that's what he's even saying. It's just 3 weeks to the election. It is easy for people to say this party in power is punishing us, we'll vote against it. So it is no longer a free and fair election. It is an election that will be held in anger. So it's just, Nigerians have a very short attention span. So if it happened close to the election, the anger will be fresh.
Because there was a protest in
exactly.
in Ibadan. Suji, come back to the conversation. There was a protest in Ibadan where people took to the street. And you know, when I saw the video of the protest, you know what came to
It reminded you of NSAS.
NSAS.
Exactly.
That was the first thing.
So two things they want to do.
Yeah.
Two things they want to do.
Governor Makinde said,
sorry, before Suji come in, two things they want to do.
Yeah.
Either make people vote in anger against the party or actually derail the election so that we don't even have an election. Then you now have maybe an interim government or whatever. But anything but Bola Tinubu is what these people want to do. It's just clear.
Suji. So, I mean,
I think that if you all remember in 2010, when there was an Arab Spring that made the Tunisians respond to anger and corruption and that destroyed and brought down so many regimes. It's from this anger and corruption. And I don't want to believe that people, and it's very possible that people will intentionally create difficulties and things like that, because the repercussion might be greater than beyond this election.
People don't always think deep before they start the problem.
Because when you look at it very, very carefully, you realize that what Nigerians are asking for is very small, not too much. It's good health care, good, just normal. Even the fuel that went from 65 naira to 350 naira, you have people that have some kind of knack for creating poverty and hunger for the population.
Exactly.
Let me tell you something. Come 25th of this month, 2023.
I'm back.
Nigerians.
I'm using this phone.
Nigerians you cannot depopularize yourself out of being elected. No amount of scarcity would make anybody in Alimosho local government vote nothing but Jagaban. No amount of scarcity of fuel will not make one Ahmed in Jada don't go and vote for Atiku Abubakar. So and if you like it, you strangle the Igbos from trading with Naira. They would wake up in Anambra, in Oka local government, everywhere, and they'll go and vote for who they want to vote for Peter Obi. So I think we should think beyond the coming 2 to 3 weeks elections and think into how we want to, what can we do, or what kind of conversation should we have, or what can we anticipate in terms of after the elections, because and if you talk about the cabals in Aso Rock and President Muhammad Buhari, Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all of them, I think that the popularity context of what has been going on, the popularity of a Jagaban and the popularity of that fetches from Kano all the way to Calabar, the popularity of an Atiku, the Peter Obi, and even Kokansu and Oshowore and all of them. You know that there's no amount, but I think it's also a good test of their popularity, and it's going to test the Nigerian behavior during this election, because I think we're going to see some new type of voters. We're going to see some new type of voters, and it's very interesting for me. It's quite confusing, to be honest, but it's very interesting. If you ask me today that I should put 1 naira bet on who is going to win this election, I can't do that.
All right.
I wouldn't be able to.
Can you bring Shehu to the conversation?
Yeah, I'm bringing back. Yes,
Shehu is looking for fuel for his generator.
Shehu is still looking for fuel. Shehu is not naturally quiet like this. But don't forget. Yeah. Okay. Shehu, I mean, for every one of us, every person that is listening or watching, you can join the conversation using the hashtag MyCon Podcast. So because I like to get people's views and at some point bring some people on Twitter Spaces so we can get people's experiences wherever they may be in the country. She'll come to the conversation. I mean, in all of what we are discussing, what I said I couldn't believe is that some people will sit down in one place and manipulate the process for Nigerians to suffer. And do you think that this will affect Nigerians from voting on 25th?
I've always told people that we've been taught that, your vote is your power. Exercise your votes and things like that. So, those kind of rhetoric also goes a long way in allowing people to be docile till they have to vote. The only power is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Your right to vote is a tool to exercise that power. So without that power of knowledge, we can vote 5 million elections and still continue to get it wrong in this country. That anybody is thinking that any kind of atrocity is beyond the Nigerian elites, that means that person has forgotten OD so quickly. That means that person has forgotten Zaki Biam so quickly. That means that person has forgotten Lekki Toll Gate that just happened day before yesterday. Quickly. There's nothing. I mean, these are the same people that went to my father's house and threw a 77-year-old woman out of the second-story window. There's nothing that is beyond them in their thirst for materialistic gain. There's nothing they cannot do. And these people, I always say to people, we have to understand as African people who we are. Without knowing that, there's nothing we can do. I've said, historically speaking, the elites that exist in Africa today are not the traditional African elites. They've been replaced during the years of slavery and colonialism by a new puppeteer, slave trading elite. The elite of Nigeria and the whole of Africa today were those people and their descendants that rule and their agents, that work for them. And they basically control all of Africa's economy, these families, these people and their agents. They were slave traders. These are the people that believe that the life of African people is worth only European things. They are mesmerized by things. That's why you can see all over our country. People are so rich, but all they can do with the money is to buy comfort, or buy things, or buy women, or buy alcohol. Just to buy, because it is not. They are not of us in the sense that they didn't go through what we went through as African people. So we must begin to understand that and begin to see ourselves from that perspective. We must become class conscious. That's the point I'm trying to make here. For me, we can dilly-dally all day, all night, talk about, hey, we don't have this. But except we become class conscious. I mean, we see young people in Nigeria today praying to become one of these, any of these elites that we have in the private sector. But anything that is not working in this country today is a teamwork between public and private sector. I mean, look at the bank and this currency issue. Without the bank's incompetence, Okay, just because they want to look civilized to their white masters, as I continue to tell you, we must understand these people's psyche. Knowledge is our power, not voting. You know, if we had the knowledge, we won't even be allowing this kind of people to come out to vote, that want to vote for this kind of people. And that's what I think in the first place. African people will create their own leadership class already, will be moving. But since we are where we are, you know, look at this currency issue. The banks of this country have been shouting cashless Nigeria, cashless, cashless Lagos, cashless this for over 5 years. There's no owner of any bank in Nigeria that doesn't have private jets. But you have not yet provided banks for all the local governments in this country. But you are all over the place shouting. You've not trained people on how to, you've not invested yourself. So this is the issue. Everybody sees Nigeria as a means to extract their own comfort. So this is the cycle that they use to dominate society, where we are all mesmerized by the things and the luxury that they continue to show us in our face. You know, and it is not because we are weak, it is because we are human. Naturally, humanity deserves and desires luxury. No, beauty. It is beauty that we desire, you know. But beauty in our world today is tied exclusively to luxury. So when you lock people out of their opportunity to experience that thing that is so human, I mean, in the traditional African society, one of the first rights of every inalienable right of every African is the right to own land. Many African children never know what it means to steal. In fact, we used to operate trust markets in Africa where people would just leave their wares and nobody will steal it. So what has happened today that Africans and Nigerians are synonymous with criminality? We must ask ourselves these pertinent questions. I've seen fuel scarcity over and over again in my lifetime. I've seen all kinds of shenanigans going on in this country. But I know for a fact that until the resources of Nigeria, the opportunities of Nigeria are used for the betterment of Nigerian people and not just for the enriching of a few people, then we cannot really claim that there's anything that is going to change. Even if Sowore wins, he's my friend. If of all the candidates is the one I prefer, I tell him all the time. But there's no president that can save Nigeria. Only the people of Nigeria can save this country. Even if Peter Obi, who is the internet favorite, even if he wins, Peter Obi with his ministers surrounded by
internet president.
No, let's be factual on that, you know, because the issue of that is not because it's not because of the way Nigerian politics is. He hasn't had the time because he started too late. You can't tell me that just because you lost PDP primaries 18 months to the election, you suddenly start a movement and you have a real plan for the country. No, that's opportunism. You know, that's opportunism, you know, and there's not an opportunist that will deliver Nigeria. It will be a dedicated individual that has looked at this country, that has dedicated his life. The person will have gone to every local government. The person will have his own structure, not jumping on Labour Party. Labour Party is a socialist structure. Peter Obi is a capitalist. Exactly. Where are they going? Where are they going? Mogbe. You know, even if Sowore wins, who is my friend, who Sowore is a very good friend, how is he going to operate in PDP and APC controlled states, PDP and APC controlled Senate and House of Reps? How is he going to run this country to the way that we feel that he should run it for the betterment of the majority of the people? So until we as the people decide, you know, not all this every 4 years we'll go and print banner and gather ourselves behind one fascist or the other, because this is fascism. I'm telling people, if you are not class conscious, you will not understand that the world is ruled by fascists. You will think that because they have killed Hitler, that Nazism and fascism is dead. They cannot. No, what is fascism? What is fascism really? When all we have all over the world that is called democracy, it's called democracy, but what we really have is the rich people in every country dividing themselves into two groups and ruling everybody forever. The common man in this democracy has never had a say in power. And we, as the people, we must organize towards the common man, because that is where they're the ones that share our pain. And for one last, Asiwaju lights blink in Asiwaju's house, the way he lights off as they do this thing here. They are totally disconnected from the reality that they have created. They are disconnected from it. Peter Obi is moving around with security all over the place. You don't even have number to call if armed robber is in your house. So what are we saying here? Me, I'm not in the, we must go to the core. We must demand and ask ourselves questions. How do we want to use our talent and resources as Nigerian professionals? Not young people, young Nigerians. The pressure is too much. What do young people want to do? They don't have money. They don't have jobs. There's no leverage.
Let me bring
the professionals that have the leverage.
Yeah. Let me bring in Omojua back. Omojua, I will read some things to you, and I would like you to put perspectives to it. You do a lot of analysis, and this is.
I'm with you.
Now, this is what Tinubu said. Opposition elements plotting to cause chaos with Naira note scarcity. That's what Tinubu said. And the PDP responded to him by saying Tinubu is the mastermind of the new notes and who had created and made the people suffer untold hardship. Now, Ayo Adebanjo, the leader of Afenifere, said, we must all prepare for war because the cabals want another northern candidate to succeed Buhari. I mean, so this topic actually emanates from what Tinubu started saying, that they
Which
are
of
using.
the parts do you want me to take?
No. I will land on the question in a moment.
Okay.
Tinubu started it and said, look, this is being orchestrated by some people, and the fact that we cannot, how can they might be using fuel and the economy as a weapon? Ayarufai said it is the cabal. PDP are responding. And if what Adebanjo now has said, we must all prepare for war because cabals is mentioning cabal again. Now, what do you make of all those scenarios? Is this an attempt to scuttle the election? What really do you think is at the center of all of this? Because what is important to me, Omojua, don't let us forget, is the fact that the average Nigerian out there who don't have access to the new notes to be able to buy food, who cannot get fuel to move around, who cannot get fuel to power their generator, is my major concern here. But it does look like there are some people somewhere who are conniving and making the rest of the people suffer.
Okay, so let me just start by saying this matter has not reached war level, right?
God forbid.
Let me just be clear about that. Like, there's none of this conversation and everything that is happening in Nigeria that has reached war level. And Nigeria is a blessed country in the sense that it has tried war and it has seen that war is not the answer. So that's a direction we've gone to, and we already know that. And to the statement on war, it is an election. If you do what you're supposed to do, if you meet the people you're supposed to meet, if you have the meeting you're supposed to have, if you let the electorate understand your message and all of that, if you're not ordering people, because I see a situation where people are trying to win a popular vote, and at the same time, they are pushing some people away because they think they have the numbers. And then you can't come less than 2 weeks or less than 3 weeks to the election and start talking about war. That's just uncalled for. On the Tinubu thing, right? Nigeria is quite an unwieldy country in the sense that we're a very big country. Our government is very, very big. By design, even if you were not a Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the ruling party cannot guarantee that everybody in his party is going to be on his side. Let's be clear about that. So this is not even about Bola Tinubu as a candidate. This is about the fact that it's such a big country. People have their own interests. And interest is just normal to human beings. Everybody has interest. Chief Ayo Adebanjo, he has his personal interest. I mean, there's in general Nigerian interest, let's be clear. But people have their own interest. There are people that are supporting a particular candidate, but for different reasons. Some people are supporting the average candidate. Most people are supporting them because they think they are the best for Nigeria. But there are certain people that are privileged that are supporting them because they believe that when that person becomes president, they will be able to appoint some ministers, they'll be able to appoint some DGs. Some people are supporting them because they believe that they are in a position to be ministers or to be DGs or ambassadors and other such stuff. And to pretend that doesn't exist is to either be ignorant or intentionally be a fool, right? So those interests are real. Let not anybody pretend that they are doing this strictly just for Nigeria. Personal interest is just natural. It's human motivation. It's just what it is. So having said that, it means that there are people in the government naturally that would think that maybe if the other person becomes president, they would be in a better position. It could be on account of their religion. It could be on account of their relationships. It could be on account of where they come from in Nigeria. That said, the issues we have on our hands, for me, has two sides. There is the side of the problem of CBN to manage change, their inability to manage change. Nigeria is not the first time to have a currency repainting or redesign, whichever word you want to use, but there's no redesign, so it's repainted. We're not the first country to do that. But the way we've managed it, it shows that we've not learned from the countries that did not do it right. The most recent example is India. We've not learned the process of managing change. I do not have a problem with wireless banking or internet cashless economy. I think the cashless economy is inevitable. In the next 15, 20 years, whether you like it or not, most currencies will be digital. Whether the way the rest of the world dragged some countries to the GSM world and digital world, they will drag you there, right? But you cannot force cashless within such a short period of time. You can't. You just cannot.
Exactly.
One of the strongest infrastructural sophisticated economies in the world is South Korea, the UK, the US.
And Singapore.
At any point in time, Singapore, for instance, at any point in time, if you do something that makes everybody to start using the banking infrastructure at the same time in the way they've never used it, by design, there will be an overload. Because a system has been built to accommodate a certain number of flow for a particular period of time, a certain number of people per time.
Exactly.
A situation where that system is forced for one reason or the other to accommodate more than it normally would accommodate, there will be an overload. That's just normal. Whether some people are doing it intentionally to undermine the candidacy of Senator Bola Tinubu, that's a different issue entirely. If you ask me personally, I think that's true. I think that's normal. I think that it is not possible to expect that everybody in the APC infrastructure and leadership, the same way it's not everybody that is in PDP are supporting Atiku Abubakar. And just let's be clear, any political party in Nigeria that grows to be as big as the PDP and the APC will behave like the PDP and the APC. And I'll give you an example. As soon as Labour Party started to look like a mainstream party, they started to have the kind of problems APC and PDP have. That is because those political parties cannot be different from the generality of Nigerians. And what are the generality of Nigerians? People that you built a rail for and they go and destroy the rail. People that you built a barrier on the express road for and you built a pedestrian bridge and they will destroy the pedestrian and they will run through the express. Even when they've seen somebody get killed, they will still go ahead and cross that road. People that you built a water system for and they would rather do it by other means and destroy the water system. That is the system we built. So APC, I see people on the internet, they abuse PDP and APC, they say PDP, APC. For me, that's self-deception. Because if you look at it sincerely, except if you don't know, but if you look at it sincerely, there is nothing fundamentally different between APC and PDP and Nigerians. There isn't, and it's easy to know. Go to the average estate association.
God bless you,
Mojua. Right now, the last election, somebody stole money.
God bless you.
So we need to.
No, please don't mention it. Don't mention it.
When we speak about our country, we speak about our country by pointing fingers and this holier than thou thing. But guess what? Every year, every other year, every election, we are excited about new leadership. More often than not, people change. It's not the same. There are some people that are still there since 1950, maybe not 1950, since 1970, because Obasanjo has been there and it's still kind of there, right? But by and large, we've had some form of change, right? But some things have remained the same. Incompetence has remained the same. Corruption has remained the same. The lack of care for the people has remained the same. The lack of empathy for the people, because this whole thing is about empathy for the people. As a person, you can call your bank, whatever, and tell them to bring 500,000 naira to you. You can tell them to bring 1 million. But if you have empathy, you are immediately going to see that the average Nigerian, especially those of them in the interlands, in the villages, will not have access. And then you start to rethink this process. So even if you have an agenda for some person not to win an election, you start to rethink it, because at the end of the day, No matter how you want to punish a Bola Tinubu, you cannot starve him of cash in any currency. You can't. In any currency, whether it's naira or dollar, whether it's new naira or new dollar. So you have to think about Nigerians and whether this will affect the APC or not. Let's be clear. Let's just be clear, right? One, it is that, I'll restate it again. Nigeria is an exceptional country. And if you're dealing with that country and you don't pay attention to that exceptionalism, you will lose. And let me give you examples of those exceptionalism. If I come from the United States, I've studied, I've done everything, or name any country, I've done all the studies, the essentials of leadership, the essence of power, the beauty of serving the people. I've done everything. I've demonstrated leadership. In fact, they voted me as a senator in America. And I come to Nigeria, pick any state you like. Pick any state you like. And I'm running for governor. And I go on the podium and I start to speak English to people. And I visit people in their houses and I start real English and I speak their language. And I tell them, this is what we're going to do. These are the solutions we're providing. If Sujimoto sells 10 houses, I'm just using him as an example. I'm not saying that's what he would do. And he starts to give those people direct transfers, whether it is physical cash or direct transfers to their account. Ceteris paribus, he will defeat me. You will win. You don't even have to rig. People talk about rigging as if rigging is some exceptional thing. Every political party rigs where they are popular.
I don't believe that he will win you.
Why? Every time it has happened, those people have lost.
Except your ideas, the people that you are sharing them with do not relate to your ideas, do not see their future, their destiny in your ideas.
So let me explain why.
Diminish African people. No, wait. We cannot diminish African people.
Let me explain. It's not about diminishing African people. Let me explain why you will win. Let me explain how you will win.
Before they vote.
They've started though. They've started.
Africans are dealing with problems different from problems that Europeans are dealing with. And I'll explain that very, very quickly. If you come to a house where the person does not know where their next meal is coming from.
Yes.
If you come to a house where the person does not know where their next meal is coming from, if you tell them about your vision, if you show them your honesty and your track record and your pedigree, they cannot relate, sir. Because King Sunny Ade said it. If a hungry man cannot hear
you're sharing oranges.
I disagree. We can disagree, brother.
I'm not saying this for you to agree. I'm saying this based on my perspective. You know, you are very free to disagree. You're very free to disagree. So when I land, you can just maybe say more on your own position. But, you know, of course, you're very free to disagree. So the point is, there are fundamentals we need to address as a country. There are certain truths we need to face as a country. We are in self-denial. And without facing those fundamentals, without addressing those self-denials, we're just going to be going in the same circle and pretending that we're moving forward.
All right.
Have we seen what happened in Brazil, in the elections of Brazil? Not even this one. I mean, the poverty in Brazil, the numbers they have, what they are going through, the killing of poor people. I mean, it's almost, if not worse than Nigeria. Although Brazil is a richer country because it's a bigger country than Nigeria, you know. But that has not stopped poor workers in South America from taking power from the richest people in their society. Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Brazil now, the most recent, Colombia, Argentina, name the country. The capitalist oligarchs are falling. And what are they doing? They are doing exactly what the oligarchs in Nigeria are doing right now. They are sabotaging their own people, stifling the currency, stifling goods, stifling. But the people, because of their political consciousness, because the leaders among those people, the professionals of South America, have refused to continue to mortgage their destiny for what they are going to eat today. So they have gone into they have used their resources, the small thing that they have, instead of going to show like they are big man. They use those resources instead to approach their people, to build structures, to explain the world to them, so that they see it for what it is. Those rich people in South America have brought money too. They will take the money and they continue doing what they are doing.
Sure.
All right.
That's
now, so I want us to bring.
Africans,
sure.
Let me just plan.
All right.
We here, Nigerian people, who also have that level, or rather, they have the potential to reach that level. But the thing is, we do not give them anything to help them get there. we do not create the platforms for them. We do not approach them from that perspective. Everybody here is a big man. We are not class conscious. And that's the problem. Nobody can tell me that the African man will care about 5,000 naira you give him today more than the destiny of his children. Come on, you diminish us a lot, Amojo. I'm sorry, I disagree with that.
Let's bring home this.
Okay, let's go to the.
Let's bring home the point. Just a moment.
No, wait, I'm sorry. I don't want to accept Sheu's position that I diminish us. I refuse to accept it.
You do, because when you say that,
it will turn argument into
and you share vision, 100%.
And Shehu said he disagreed.
No.
I accepted his right to disagree, but I never put any.
Is the way hip hop, is the way African musicians.
I never did.
Oh, just give African woman money, she will follow you.
It is my position. It is my position to look at a problem and say it as it is, and offer views on how those solutions can change. I did not diminish us. I just said things the way I see them to be. Anybody can disagree with that, but I did not diminish us in any way.
Yeah. I guess
I get what Japheth is saying.
Yeah.
But what you imply?
You say Africans. I just give example. Money. The only time I use African people is in response to you. I never said African. Implication is based on your own.
You see, Seun, please take control.
Let's be clear.
Let's
be clear.
Guys, Amajua, Seun, yeah.
Let's be clear about that.
You said,
I gave a scenario.
Can you mute
I
your
said
mic?
a person who is educated, who is got ideas.
Sorry, Amajua and Sheun, please, 1 minute.
Don't make me look like I'm trying to drag somebody down. Wait, let me.
No, of course not.
He said, I'll repeat what he said. And so you tell me how it is not implied, like I'm just drawing this out of thin air. He said, you can go to any neighborhood in Nigeria and sell your vision and idea. This man is hungry. He doesn't have money. If Omojua goes to sell 10 houses and transfers that money to those people in those communities, that they will pick him rather than the person with vision and ideas.
But it's true.
And I said that is not
so. I just spoke fast.
No, it diminishes us because it means that regardless of whether we are going through, we will take money.
Well, it is what made me get out of the primaries of election.
I'm not diminishing you. I'm telling you facts.
All right, guys.
Hold on.
Guys, show Amajua.
If you want it to be clean, you go and clean it up. The truth of the matter is the person that pays wins more votes. Full stop. Is it a good thing? No.
Yeah.
Can we change it?
Guys,
Yes.
let's move on quickly.
Yeah.
If it is not
the
true,
biggest winner of vote in Nigeria.
Elections in Nigeria. Why
is the biggest winner of vote in Nigeria. Apathy doesn't spend a dime. Apathy is the biggest winner. Let me finish.
Apathy and poverty.
You are finished now. Maybe you finished. Apathy is the biggest winner of votes in Nigeria, and apathy does not spend a dime. There are 67 million registered voters in Nigeria, and only 15 million people vote in any given election in this country, except 2015, where there was some kind of, fervor to remove Jonathan, and people went out. So the last election in 2019, only 15 million of 67 million registered voters. So why didn't those many people come out for money?
Okay, apathy wins election by omission. Poverty wins election by commission. Apathy does not appear.
All right, guys. Let
wins every election.
Show Amajua. Just a moment. Hold on.
Two things can be true. Apathy and poverty can be true. Two things can be true. Apathy is a reality because obviously the bulk of the people do not vote. That's clear and that's true. Poverty wins election because people get paid to vote and they go and vote, and that's true.
Yeah.
Why are we lying? Why are we arguing? Two things can be true. More than one thing can be true.
I'm telling you that it is not so. It is not so. I'm repeating.
It's good that we disagree because it is natural for us to hold different views. All right, but
any idea.
Can we just bring this argument?
So let's quickly. Just a moment. Let's quickly move forward. The good thing about life is that we cannot all see things from the same point of view. But I want us to quickly get one or two responses, and we bring home the point of our conversation today, which is the effect of fuel and naira notes crisis on the 2023 election. And I said earlier that as soon as I saw that video in Ibadan, of people protesting on the road and blocking
In
roads
fact, there
and
is
all of
more
that.
story.
It just
People have
reminded
even-
me
people have been
of
shot
and
in
burning
the,
shops, burning this and all of that. Do we want that kind of thing to happen in Nigeria? I want us to proffer solutions and let's create some youth sensitization that the young people of Nigerians need to take their destiny into their hands and do the right thing. Let me allow about 2 or 3 people on Twitter Spaces to respond to the conversation quickly. Then I'll allow the speaker to give their final and closing thoughts on some of these issues. Kinde Adefulu on Twitter, please, if you can speak, Kinde, let me get your intervention quickly.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Please go ahead, Kinde.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Shenwa Kimbaloye, thank you for having me. This was the same question, the same topic we brought on last video on Thursday on State of the Nation, where I was analyzing. I'm also a political presenter on last week 95.7. And as such, my thoughts is that I feel it will not affect the 2023 general election. I said something. I said the government always have their way. I made reference to the fact that when the aviation sector was having an issue with the issue of fuel, and they were about to embark on the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, he intervened immediately and they sorted out the problem of the freight aviation. And when you look at the total general election, it's something that everybody is concerned about. And I'm taking this into consideration. The statement made by President Muhammadu Buhari is that the INEC does not have any excuse. He has made everything available for them to conduct a credible election. Even if as such, it might not be free and fair because of some electoral violence and manipulation and electoral thuggery. But I just feel the Naira notes can have an effect, but not about the fuel prices. Because when you look at some officials, when they get to the police station, they just get to the manager and they bring out fuel. And the masses are like, what is going on? What is happening? But we have no choice.
All right.
This is what I posted. This is what I
All right. Thanks, Kinde.
I don't feel too much opinion. I don't feel it will affect.
Yeah, Kinde. All right. Joseph Onyeriri on Twitter. If you're good to go, please go ahead.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I really appreciate what you guys are doing and the discussion. I think the discussion will continue even after this. But the bottom line is there should be a form of sensitization from we to our downline, as in we should take this information home, because the way the whole thing is going now, some people are not well informed about this stuff, and the government are not doing their own best to bring down the whole situation to a various minimum. I think we should take this thing down our own downline and educate them the more, because with the whole of this situation, I think we might be heading to another Sorosoketu, the way the whole thing is going. Thank you.
All right. I'm seeing a very familiar face here. Kaudi Akintemi, Sake. Please, you can coming into the conversation, Mr. Akintemi.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
And I've listened to quite a few of you who are my very dear brothers. JJ Omojo, I haven't seen you for a bit. Good to hear your opinion on this. But my thought on the fuel and Naira notes crisis is clear, because you just have to be on the streets of Lagos and sometimes on the streets of Abuja to see the impact both are having. People are queuing for petrol, and then they're ending up queuing to collect money that they have worked hard to put in a bank. And that makes you begin to wonder that why should I have to queue to collect my money? And that brings to mind the kind of crisis you've got in some countries in the past where they've got economic crisis. We don't have that level of economic crisis, but yet people are queuing for their money. The next thing you will see is a situation where banks will be raided. we're already seeing some videos of people who are going naked in the bank, crying that their families are dying or they're sick and they need money. This is a really serious crisis. Now, that brings me to the issue of Ashwaju being concerned that this was used to target him. Maybe I would want to agree with him to some extent, in the sense that, yes, it may not be targeted at him, but the word on the street is that doing this makes it look like APC is out to destroy Nigerians. And if APC is out to destroy Nigerians, who is their flag bearer? It's Ashwaju Bola Tinubu. So that means you will be saying to everybody around you that why would you want to vote for APC, the people that got us to this point? So maybe from that perspective, it will look like there are some cabals somewhere in there that are worried about him and don't want him to get it. But that's not the issue. The issue is when you want to do something like what we're trying to do in Nigeria, which is change currency, we know how it works. We've seen it work in the UK. We've seen it work in other parts of the world. But the way it is being done, you then begin to wonder what is wrong with our president? What is wrong with the CBN? What is wrong with the people in authority? Is it that they don't have something called common sense to know that the volume of currency that should be on the street should be this amount and be able to just disburse it and let it be available to everybody? So in terms of the election, though, it is clear that the impact it's going to have will be more along the lines of people realizing that this government is not doing well for them. And everybody associated with it will struggle to convince them to vote. And I guess that's the advantage that someone like Atiku Abubakar is trying to take by saying that this is just about Tinubu. We are not worried. It is good for this to happen because it is to their advantage. So you might see a shift in terms of the voting pattern towards some people thinking it is APC at fault, and who represents APC? It is Tinubu. So they will be looking to vote for people that are not part of the APC. But will that affect the likes of Peter Obi? I am not sure. Will that affect Atiku? I am not sure. But the bottom line for me is that this government has not done well, whether it's in terms of petrol, which is the full responsibility of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Minister of Petroleum Resources in Nigeria. It's his job, and he's failing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akintemi, for... I'm not happy that I've not heard a single woman since we started this space. So let me give one. As I can see a lady, Kumbi, on Twitter Spaces. You can now speak, Kumbi. Your quick intervention, please. Is she there?
She has left.
Oh, she left. All right. Let's bring the conversation home now, and let's look. Solution. Where are we headed? It does look like there are effects of these issues, the fuel and the Naira notes crisis, and it's definitely will have some effect, whether no matter how big or small it is on the election. Election is just 20 days away.
You said solution.
What is a fundamental solution that we need to be looking at?
Okay, quickly, if in my own perspective, I think for the fuel crisis, it's much better. At least I can drive in now and buy. I don't have to stay for 1 hour, 2 hours on the queue.
On the outskirts of Abuja.
In Abuja right now.
No, on the outskirts.
Even here
within the city is not that easy.
No, it is.
There's no fuel in Lagos.
I don't know about Lagos.
No, he's talking about Abuja.
There's no fuel in Lagos.
I'm even telling
in Abuja. I just drove past this. I just drove past this NNPC here now.
And you got easily.
There's no queue.
Oh, great.
Erano near my house in Jabi, there's no queue. If all of them keep selling like that, then we should have the fuel queue easing away in a short while. However, for the Naira note issue, the president has promised that he's going to intervene after he had the governors yesterday had a meeting with him. So I have it on some authority that we should see some movement between tomorrow. No, sorry, tomorrow is Sunday, right? no, Monday or Tuesday, we should see something. He said 7 days, but it will be before the 7 days.
Yeah, because CBN governor came out when president said, give me 7 days. You know, the funny thing is that when president says something, there are other people who
the
go.
CBN governor seems to be listening to some spirit.
Give me 7 days. The CBN governor saying on a live press conference in Lagos that there's not going to be any.
The man seems to be working with some evil spirit because nobody understands why he keeps doing this. Because it doesn't even need the president intervention. The presidency doesn't need to get involved. If you check the videos we are seeing, you see grown-ups removing their clothes in the bank, crying.
So
because,
sad.
Yeah. So I don't know what exactly is wrong with him that he's having this belligerent attitude about this issue.
And you heard what Kade Akintemi said.
Yeah, I heard that.
This actually will impact on APC.
Because it is, forget impactation of APC. We're not even talking about politics now. You see, you can't punish Nigerians because you want to roll out a policy that is ill thought out. We have had note change over the years in the country. We've never had it this bad. Why is it that under this man, we're having this kind of problem? And he's still digging his heels and saying there's no going back. Does he own the country? Is he not just an appointee? Why is he saying something different from what the president is saying? So it tells you that he's listening to some dangerous satanic spirit that are speaking to him. That's why he keeps digging his heel. And I hope it will come back to bite him. Because you cannot, like Kade was saying, and I was listening beyond what Kade was saying, that when you have this kind of social, economic turmoil, it could lead to something else. So why is he trying to foment crisis? We are already battling with fuel crisis.
National security issue.
You see people making runs on banks already, as it were. So why is he digging in his heels? We don't need this. Forget election. It's not about election now. It's about social and economic impact on the lives of Nigerians. So the man should stop digging in his heels and making this belligerent statement as if he has some demonic push that is pushing him. We don't need this. We need to start looking for solutions. Some of the solutions should be one. There should be easing away of this currency swap. Why don't you do it like other countries are doing it 1 year, 2 years? Why don't you do it even 6 months? Why are you intent that it must be next week? Do you have an agenda for next week? What exactly is the man's problem? So as far as me I am concerned, the president has to step in.
I know his problem.
The president has to step in and make him have sense, if in case his sense has taken leave of him for still going around to say there's no going back. What does it mean there's no going back? He is a servant to Nigerians, not our leaders.
He's do me, I do you. They didn't give me party tickets.
We all know that. But you cannot use Shehu. I will interrupt you when you start talking too. Clearly, I understand where Shehu is coming from. I as a party person, I actually try to avoid the political angle. That's why I'm trying to talk as an economist right now and a social person. But clearly, there's a vendetta in the man's mind, and it's a dangerous vendetta. You don't own Nigeria.
But can you take away the fact that there are good intentions about the policy?
There's no crime in what he wants to do. But honestly, as an economist, it's a good idea. And like Omoju has said, cashless economy must come to pass. You can't take it away. It's a global phenomenon, but you cannot dictate it into power, into action within this shortest period of time. It has to be a gradual process. I tweeted something like that. It's a process. You can't force it in 45 days, for heaven's sake. It's not going to work.
I saw what you tweeted about DSS and the CBN governor.
Yeah, I didn't tweet it. I actually saw the story on Premium Times today. Yeah. And then the allegation against him were weighty, very heavy allegation. And if Nigeria was a normal country, because I don't understand this, that man should be answering questions, not running our fiscal policy. I mean, our monetary policy. It is, even if the allegations are not true, he should be excused away from the office until he has cleared himself before he's allowed to come back to work, if he's cleared. But for this kind of allegation, under any human circumstances, Emefiele should not be sitting on top of CBN as a CBN governor.
All right. Let me bring back Shehu Kuti. The solution.
I will worry him.
the solution now, because young
Worry me.
people.
I like it.
Yeah, boy.
Sean is a troublemaker, so
He's my boo, but he's a very stubborn boy.
so Sean, your final word, your final thought on the podcast tonight, and like I said, my fear about young people. What should the young people be doing? Because this series is about the young people of Nigeria, and we are looking generally at the election. The fear about the election. What can we do?
You know, young people look up to their elders. That's a fact. Whether we like it or not, every young person in this world has an older person that is modeling his life. It is our I'll repeat it again. It is our responsibility that we are dropping the ball. You know, that's why I enjoy being African so much and studying who I am, understanding the ancient African rites of passage, the way older African men used to mentor younger African men to be, and then things they had to do to prove that they were men again. You understand? For me, we have lost a lot of those things in our society that grounds us, you know, in our collective good. You know, the collective consciousness in Nigeria is a corrupt one. I have to agree, you know, in that aspect. But it is a tiny percentage of Nigerians that spread their spirits all over the nation. You understand what I'm saying? It is not the majority of us. And these people's narrative now dominates. You know, I mean, majority of the people that decide who wins election in this country, we allow the thugs and the touts and the agberos and the area boys to decide, while we sit down at home too big for the process. We might blame poor people all day that they take money to vote, and a tiny percentage of them, again, I have to add, this does not represent the larger percentage of the Nigerian population, or even the voters themselves. It doesn't represent a large percentage, you know. But the reason why these poor people might even do this is because we, as the professionals, we have also sold our souls. It's our soul that we have sold that is allowing the poor people sell their votes. You know, when the journalist has sold his words already, he has sold his pen, sold his newspaper, sold his radio wave. When the banker has finished money laundering all day, all night, when the petroleum don't take bribe, NNPC up and down the place, you know, when the lecturers have taken their own to spread their false narrative in schools, police are taking their own to brutalize and create chaos. Everybody will now say it's because poor people are taking votes. That's why taking money to vote for poor people. That's why Nigeria is the way it is. No, it is we. I repeat, we have the power. We must begin to refuse this spirit in our society. If our journalists in this country refuse to be in bed, those oppressors are making them like demigods in front of the larger population, I am sure it will be harder for them to spread that bribe. If the bankers are not taking their own share to launder that money, in fact, they will not even have the money to come and share in the first place. You know, if our lecturers are teaching the truth and not indoctrinating the youth, you know, maybe we'll have better informed, more conscious young people in society to resist what we say we don't like. So we must really look at ourselves. You know, even in my field as musicians, selling our talent, singing praise songs for the people that are destroying our future and our generation just because of the little change that they throw at us. We are the ones collecting the money. It is not the people taking money to vote. We are the ones really taking money here. And until we stop taking that money, Nigeria cannot change. They will never be full. They will change currency how they like. Emefiele will be, because Emefiele is angry, can disrupt the whole nation, we'll continue to have demagogues like that. You know, because he didn't get his party ticket, he can do anything in life to sabotage party. Whatever happens to the nation is the nation's business. We will continue to have myopic individuals in this nation. We, the professionals of Nigeria, are the ones that must refuse the money.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Sean Kuti, thank you so much.
Sean, say I didn't disturb you. Nonsense boy. Next time you disturb me, eh?
I will disturb you again. I will disturb you.
Oh, okay.
So, Jimato, where do we go from here?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And well, we are 21 days to the
20 days actually. It's 20
days. The general elections, and I'm just very sorry for INEC because the logistics to move electoral materials across 177,000 polling units in 774 local governments is a lot of work. I'm a businessman. We know
they will depend on big men like you, rich men like you. Will help them.
So I'm very looking at what INEC will face after seeing all this fuel scarcity and lack of. I mean, at the end of the day, too, I believe that they are well prepared and nothing should surprise them. But ultimately, you know, I don't like to look at the next 3 weeks, but I like to look at the next 30 years or the next even 4 years. I think the next president must understand the fundamentals of what it takes to be a CEO of the Nigerian PLC. The next president, whoever it is, it could be the Wazir Adamawa Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, it could be Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it could be Mr. Peter Obi, it could be Showore, it could be Kokonso. But I believe that whoever is coming must put state before self, and make sure that one of our most important departments that generates all our assets, all our funds, which is the petroleum resources, we must make sure that that minister of petroleum or his minister of states must be held accountable for his performance and for everything he's doing, and he must find a way to avoid the Nigerian owners of the cassava plantation from buying gari from our neighbors. There must be a total stop, because why on earth that is so embarrassing that a nation, the 8th largest producer of oil, does not have fuel for its citizens to move. And even at the drastic increase of prices from 65 naira to 350 naira, the Nigerian people in thousands and millions still queue at fuel stations just to have the basic product, which we are one of the largest producers of. So I think that thing must be very, very well addressed. I want to hope, and I want to pray that the next president is somebody that will come and create change and bring drastic change into our economy. That CEO, I'm very optimistic that the person will come and will do something great. And one thing, I hope this message can go straight to whoever the person will be, that we must create one small department. It could be something, and it's something we practice in our own business as well, from the human resource department. It's what I call the performance contract. I saw it in Rwanda. What they do is that when they appoint ministers or whoever, the ministers now come and sign a performance bond, a performance contract with different departments. The government, which is the management, signs a performance bond that we have appointed you as the Minister for Finance. We have allocated this amount of money for your salaries and everything. Now we have set a target for you that you do A, B, C, D in the first, second, and third, fourth quarter. Now we will not take your word for it. We will sign a performance contract with the Nigerian people, and we'll hold you accountable for if you don't meet your target, or if you don't meet or surpass your target, you have to answer to the people, and you have to refund and set some kind of metrics to measure those kind of KPIs. So I think that thing might really help us, because I just think that a lot of people, they go and become DGs of institutions, minister without knowing what's going on, without doing nothing. So I think that because there's nobody to hold them accountable, strong accountability for their performance or ill performance. So I think that would really help.
Thank you.
So I wish you all guys all the best, and make sure
I hope
Nigerians really vote right and vote a CEO-minded person, to become the next CEO of Nigerian PLC.
And the people that will do the job mostly are the people between the age of 18 and 49. Because the young people. You see yourself as a young person.
I'm 49.
All right, Omojua. So you will be the one to give us a wrap up finally. So I see this and I told someone, I said, my biggest fear about this election is not about any issue of violence during the election. It's about what happens after the election, post-election.
Absolutely.
If anyone wins, what happens to the supporters of the person who did not win? So now, if, for example, we're saying someone is going to be heavily affected by the policy that is making Nigerians groan, if such a candidate does not win, what happens? These are possibilities of what we as a people need to look into. And I like Mojua to conclude on that note, on the fact that how do we manage it? Because it's the energy of the young people that we really need to look at here. And they are the ones who will really get to the street. They are the ones who will really take action. From your own point of view, where do we go from here?
First of all, it's the responsibility of government to anticipate and prevent the sort of issues that would arise from the election results. And it's also their responsibility to develop different scenarios based on the election results and different things that could happen. For individuals, whatever decision I take, or Sheun takes, or Suji Moto takes, or Ayob takes, is not going to scale. If I decide that irrespective of who wins, I'm going to sit in my house and just watch TV or play football or spend time with my wife, that decision is not going to scale across the country. The same thing applies to every other person on this platform. So the government has a responsibility to anticipate the different scenarios based on the different possible results. That's essential.
Proactiveness.
The other thing I would like to say is that as much as the position of the president is important, we need to understand that that is just one of several positions that are being contested for. One of the biggest statistics that people throw up on TV and in different interviews is the number of out-of-school children. But interestingly, at the moment, the most popular number is 20 million. And one of the recent numbers I saw says that 74% of Nigerian children cannot solve math or speak English. Numbers like that, when people throw those numbers, they throw it directly at the central government, in Nigeria's case, federal government. But based on Nigeria's federalism, the federal government has no responsibility, zero responsibility towards primary education. So if we have 20 million children out of school, the responsibility falls on the subnational government. I use that as just one example of one of those things that has failed on account of the failure of our federal system that we continue to think that some guy in Abuja will solve. In conclusion on my part, let me just say that, one, you cannot solve a problem you do not admit exists. There is one thing to have an idealistic situation, how or what you would want a situation to be, but to make that thing become what you want it to be, you first of all have to admit exactly what the challenge is and what the problem is. Two is to say that it is very, very easy to look at our leaders and say they are bad, they are corrupt, and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people amongst them used to be people that used to say that our leaders were bad and corrupt. Now they are in government and we are seeing them. So the individual also has to look at him or herself and ask him or herself, how really are they different from these leaders that they complain about? Obviously, our problems are at scale and you would need government to fix these problems. But you cannot separate the reality of a country from the behaviors of its people individually and as a collective. On that note, I'd like to say thank you to Sheun.
Thank you so
for
much.
hosting us.
I appreciate it.
I'd also like to say thank you to my other brothers, Sheun, Suji Moto, and Ayob for joining. It's been a great time.
Thank you.
The rest of you. And for those of you that are saying somebody will be cancelled on account of their opinion, you have to ask yourself, do you really want democracy, or do you just want somebody that you want to be president, irrespective of how they become president? Because if you are saying somebody will be cancelled because you disagree with their opinion, then you've got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, do you care about choice? Do you care about the right of others to have a different opinion from yourself? Do you care about democracy, or do you just want somebody to be president and you don't care how they become president. That is for you, the listener. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Quickly, I have just less than 2 minutes. Let me allow Dr. Dipo Awojide, Ogbeni Dipo on Twitter, and Kayode Akintemi, both of them. I'll listen. I mean, I will take them 1 minute apiece. Ogbeni Dipo, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good conversation so far. I just wanted to, chime in and remind the government, and remind, those who are formulating and implementing policies, that they have to be very careful, because this was exactly how the NSAS protest started. People complained repeatedly about police brutality, and the government did not do anything serious about it until it got out of hand. People are frustrated. People are very tired of what is going on in the country. So I saw a post yesterday from the presidency saying the president will decide within 7 days. 7 days is a long, long time. This cash swap in the UK, I mean, they've done this several times, and it's always 2 years. Now the Queen is dead. We have a new king. There's going to be a cash swap with currencies that have the face of the Queen replaced with those of King Charles. They are going to do this in 2 years. If you want to catch out people who are going to rig elections, which I'm against, people who are going to buy votes, there has to be some other ways to do that. Don't mix the implementation of the currency swap with trying to catch out politicians. The politicians are friends with bank managers and bank CEOs. They are going to find their way. It's only the people who are going to suffer. Please, the government has to resolve this issue immediately. There was protest in Ibadan yesterday. We don't want this to spread to Lagos, to spread to Kano, to spread to Anambra, to spread to River State or other parts of the country. Fix the issue, extend the deadline by 6 months or more, and find ways to actually catch out the politicians that you want to catch, and stop the people who might want to buy votes on election day. Good luck to everyone who is voting. I empathize with everyone who is going through hardship, and I yield the mic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dipo. Thank you so much. And I'll allow Mr. Akintemi, Kayode Akintemi, you have the floor. Just a minute to give some solutions and your thoughts.
My 1 minute starts now. Number one, get your PC. If you haven't got it, you've got about 24 to 48 hours. Every young person must make sure they get their PVC. Number two, make sure you vote. If you don't vote, you're part of the problem of the nation. Vote for the person you expect will serve the nation, not their pocket. You already know those people that will serve their own pocket. So make sure you choose right. Show yourself, Ogbeni Dipo, JJ Omojua, all those who are influencers on social media, and those of us who are seasoned journalists or not seasoned journalists, we have a duty and responsibility to highlight the key issues. Just recently, they're talking about 90% plus of people in the north have collected PVC, but people in the south, not up to 70. So you have a serious situation there that is likely to fester and create the kind of problem that will make people feel disenfranchised, and at the end of the day, they will be on the street to fight. Finally, young Nigerians have to see this as their failure if they don't get the right person. They have plenty of time. This is my final point. Young Nigerians have had plenty of time to make a decision, to influence themselves, to be motivated, to be driven, to be pushed, to be inspired. But all of this opportunity, if this government that is coming in May, if it's not the one that Nigerians want, then they have to hold themselves responsible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akintemi. Kayode Akintemi there on Twitter. Thank you so much, guys. I need to really, really appreciate you guys. This conversation stretched even beyond the time that we thought that we were going to have it, and it stretched beyond the 1 hour mark. But thank you so much, Ayala. Thank you indeed for coming. Seun Kuti, thank you. I appreciate you coming. Mr. Sujimoto, thank you. JJ Omojua, thank you so much. It's good to see all of you, and I appreciate you so much. And every young person or everyone that listening or watched an audio of the platform, thank you so much. But let me leave everyone with these few words. In all our conversations and submissions, there is no denying the fact that the hardship is real. That the hardship is real, but it is touching everyone the same way. Certainly not. Some have fuel and have new notes. Some don't. Some have new notes and may not have fuel. Some don't even have both. And that may also explain why the reactions to these crises have been different. In all, we cannot normalize an anomaly. I mean, how can Nigerians be buying their own currency, and for how long? Are people expected to continue queuing at fuel stations? For how long? Elections or not, an average Nigerian is faced with new challenges and old problems like shortage in electricity supply and not going away every day. I mean, for almost all my life, I've experienced shortage of electricity. But for how long? The president has a tough call to make. Of course, it comes with the territory. The tension is brewing, and a decisive action must be taken to calm frayed nerves before a bad situation turns worse. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this podcast today. And thanks so much for being part of it. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Sean. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Mike On Podcast. Mike On Podcast for the independent mind.